Hello and welcome to another fun-filled nonsense retrospective. I'm your host as always, Rick. Joining me equally as always is Devon.
Hello!
Yep. Today we're going to be talking about Interspecies Reviewers a little bit. But before we get too far into that, we're going to start with our good old time-honored tradition of the nonsense, asinine hypotheticals. And do you have one for me today?
Yeah, I do. My original question was going to be, if you could review anything for a living, what would it be? But we're kind of already doing that. So I'm going to change it a little bit, and it's a bit of a boring one, but which suck you girl would you most want to be with? I think it's something I've asked before, but hey-ho.
Yeah, so assuming that I could get over the difficulties, the salamander girl is absolutely top.
Well, it's something they don't do in the show which bugged me, where they're in a magical world. I'm pretty sure potions of heat resistance exist.
Apparently that's a plot point. The mage lady, whose name escapes me at the moment, she collects essence of Crim and uses it to make rings of fire resistance, and realizes that they're more lucrative to sell to people who want to fuck the fire ladies than they are selling to adventurers to go out on adventures and not die.
Using the term plot point is very loose in the sense of Interspecies Reviewers.
Oh, yeah.
But they still exist, is my point.
Oh, yes.
And Stunk and Zell are rich enough adventurers that they could afford to get them made. But anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, apparently they only start really existing after Essence of Crim becomes a thing that can be harvested.
Yeah, I don't believe that. The author pulled it out their arse.
Yep. But yeah, how about you? Who's your pick?
Elsa.
Yeah, she's another top one. As long as you're comfortable in your masculinity.
I mean, she's a hyena. It's just a really big clit.
Yep.
Man, there's nothing like trying to fuck fantasy creatures that make you learn a lot about biology that you really didn't need to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you have a question? Oh,
Demia, that's the mage lady whose name escaped me.
Yeah, she's
yes,
basically an archmage.
Yeah. My one for you. It's a little bit more pedestrian, but still in a fantasy theme. You get to take a single level of a fantasy class, but otherwise you are yourself in the normal kind of world. Which class do you pick, and how does it change your life?
You've asked me this before.
Have I? Specifically with this stipulation of like it's in your normal life, and how does a single level change your life?
Maybe not, but you've asked me similar questions, so it's like, oh, how boring. Bard, because Bard is jack of all trades, and therefore life gets easier.
Sure.
How about you?
Yeah, I'd pick the Pally because it gives me something to strive for. Like I've made this step, and there's potentially more to do, and it gives me something to aim for, even if I never achieve it.
Rick, that is the most depressing answer you could ever fucking give.
What do you want from me? I'm clinically depressed.
There's clinically depressed, and then there's sad.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not on medication, you should be. There we go. So, yeah, we're talking about the funny show about pork and babes today. We have our main cast of reviewers, the main one being Crim. Well, really, Stunk is the main guy, but Crim is the one that all of the material focuses around. Zell is there too, and then there's a bunch of guest reviewers and part-timers.
It's also not true. Crim is not... It doesn't cycle around Crim at all. There's times where he's just abandoned.
Oh, yes. So he gets abandoned, but when it comes to promotional material, he's the breakout character.
Well, yeah, that's because... let's just fucking get it over with. He's a lolly.
Yeah, he's a very good avatar for people.
No, not what I said at all.
Well, I'm saying something different. He's a good avatar for anybody.
Yeah, but the problem is, Rick, is you started your thing with and then said your point as if it was a follow-up. Yeah, Crim's a bit interesting in the sense that he's an angel. He identifies as a boy, but angels in this world have both sets of sexual organs.
Yes, just by default. I think the main reason that he identifies as a boy is because he didn't want to get ravaged if he identified as a girl.
Initially, but don't forget, at this point he's got such a rapport with both Stunk and Zell that I think he could be honest about it, and he just chooses not to be. And also, when he takes the sex change formula, he turns into a girl.
Yeah, he basically looks the same, but his boobs get slightly bigger.
Well, and he loses the massive cock. That's one of the big jokes of this series, is that Crim, as innocent as he looks, has got a massive magnum dong.
Yeah, we know it's longer than 12 inches, because it was immeasurable by a ruler that was 12 inches long.
Yeah, and also we see it in the light episode.
Yeah, and in this scene, it will be represented by a bottle of mayonnaise.
No, that wasn't his dick, that was his entire form.
Ah, okay.
But this fucking anime, and I use the term term anime loosely. It's basically hentai. I think it straddles the line between sexy and funny quite well.
Yes, I'd say so. Like, I would struggle to watch a censored version of it, like a completely censored version.
Yeah, I think the most uncensored they were was during the sex change episode with the slime girl and Zell, because that was basically just a hentai scene. But yeah, I haven't bothered writing notes about the manga because the manga was about 3 chapters longer when this came out, and I read those 3 chapters, and I don't know if you did additional homework or not, Rick, but I didn't. So the 3 extra chapters were rather... They didn't really add much. There was one fun, interesting thing they did where they went to an aquarium, suck-you-go joint brothel thing, and they got turned into fish, and they did weird sex fish stuff.
Sweet.
And the other
if
thing...
you're into that.
Well, it's interesting, and that's what I think should be the appeal of the manga, is that they do weirder shit in it.
Yeah, totally.
And the other thing I wanted to say was some content they cut from the anime because honestly, it wasn't that great in the manga. I think it was the last episode or second to last. They had some centaur girls they were with. They also double up as Sakyu girls, and then what ended up happening during their encounter was they just got fisted. Yeah, and
the review was just I fisted a horse.
Yeah, that's literally what the review was. It's just like we fisted horses, and yet Stunk still gave it a 2 and not a 1.
Yeah. But yeah, my homework was just I went and tried to refresh myself on the characters. Beyond our main trio, you've got Kanchal and the lizard guy.
Is Kanchal the halfling or is he the giant?
Yeah, Kanchal's the halfling.
Ah, yes. Yeah, because of that character, this show got super censored and almost banned in Australia.
Weird.
Not weird.
Weird that it was him and not the kid that looks like him.
Yeah, specifically those two having sex with each other is what made it a problem.
Yeah.
Kanchal and the other halfling, because they look like characters that are underage, which I can't actually even argue that point, because they do.
Mm-hmm. Although the girl does point out that she's older than Stunk.
Yeah, because they're halflings.
Yep. Nalgami is the Naga lizard guy who goes mental for any egg laying.
Yeah, Nalgami.
And Bruce is the other part-timer, the wolfman.
Yeah, I called him a giant and I knew I was wrong, but, he's pretty big compared to the rest of the crew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's his favourite is a polar bear girl.
Sure.
And we get some little guests. We got a demon guy. We got Lulu, who's a fairy boy. Count Cole Gurlula, who's Zell's old drinking buddy, and the wannabe member, the Incubus, who keeps giving everyone 10s because
he's a simp.
He's an Incubus. Yeah. He like the whole episode that he comes in, he's like distraught that they've given anything less than a 10 to any girl.
Yeah, I remember when this episode came out because people were laughing their butts off on Reddit with, "Hey, if you ever thought you were a pathetic being, bear in mind this guy gives every person he's ever slept with a 10 out of 10. Mm-hmm. If everyone's a 10 out of 10, then no one's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and therefore reviewing is pointless. Like, we try to enjoy things that we review. Like, obviously this series we liked it, but when we're doing reacts, sometimes the episodes aren't good.
Oh God, no. And we'll be honest about it.
Sometimes we come across some stinkers. Yeah. Sometimes it's written as plainly across our faces as it comes across the sound waves.
We do genuinely try to be as positive as we can be on things. Like, there's been things I've hated and I've been like, oh, I don't want to shit on this, but it was shit.
Yeah. That's why we have the favourite moments of the MVPs.
And that's why I added Weakest Link about 2 weeks after that.
Oh, yes.
I was like, yeah, we talk about these good things. We should probably talk about the bad, even for the things that are actually good.
One character who's very definitely not a sucky girl is Maidri.
Yeah, and, Stunk wants to marry her.
Yes. Except she knows what he gets up to, so...
Oh, yeah, I don't think anyone blames Maidri for not wanting to be with the obvious pervert, but,
Weirdly, I think she'd be okay with it being Krim.
What do you mean?
Getting with Krim and marrying Krim.
No, I don't think she would be, because Krim does the exact same shit, and she knows that.
Yeah, but she's also seen Krim as a innocent person.
But she knows he does the reviews as well. What are you on about?
Ah, fair enough.
I don't know what your point is, Rick. Please elaborate.
Well, it's just that she seems to be a lot softer on Krim than she is on the others. Partly because Krim works with him.
Well, yeah, but that's because Krim doesn't hit on her.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that, but I don't think Majorie, if Krim suddenly said, I would like to go out with you, Majorie, I don't think Majorie would be like, oh yes, sure. It doesn't seem in line with her character at all.
Fair enough.
Also, it's quite clear that Majorie does have the hots for Stunk. She just doesn't approve of the shit he does.
What did weird me out, though, was when they go to the doll place, and Majorie doll is very popular.
Yeah, you can blame the little halfling for that.
Yeah, he made one of her, and then doesn't he also coach Krim into how to make one exactly the same?
No, he makes one for everybody.
Man,
it's
probably worse.
It's a part of the review because none of them can make a good doll. You see Stunk making something and it looks really fucked up because the eyes are in the wrong place and all sorts of stupid stuff. They basically just beg the halfling, could you just make them for us? And he just makes them all Majorie, but he gives them all different personality cores, so that despite looking like Majorie, all of them act differently. Unfortunately, Krim is in fact too innocent and is the one who spills the beans that they made them look like her, and that's why she's mad at the end of that episode.
Yep. And then we have the closest thing to the plot is that early on we get Lady Death Abyss, the demon who's trying to run for mayor.
You say plot.
Parliamentary elections. The demon too, who looks just like Piccolo, gives them a free entry to the demon Sucky Girl joint, and they get distracted by the minotaurs.
Yeah, essentially they're on their way because they're doing these reviews. The demon party needs to raise their popularity because demons aren't popular. Demons aren't popular because they are lawfully evil to a fault, in that they make deals and they make contracts and they follow those to the letter. It's even a part, once they do eventually actually go in, the whole reason why they have such a good time is because they've got detailed instructions made by the advisor dude that means that they will indeed have a fun time. And the demon succubus girls straight up say, yeah, so this is how we do this. In the review, Stunk is very honest. He's like, 8 out of 10. If you go here, you have to be very clear what you want.
Yeah, and what you're going to give in return. Like, don't they give the example of, oh yeah, if you want a demon waifu, if you say, I want to make you happy, then she'll just treat you like shit for the rest of your life. Whereas if you say, I want us both to be happy, then you'll get a very devoted wife, but like, she'll neglect any children that you have because that wasn't part of the deal.
I mean, I don't remember those specific examples. It's been a minute since I've watched this, but yeah, they do bring up that, yeah, again, your wording has to be very specific, so it wouldn't surprise me if it did crop up. I've got the episode list. Do you want to just go through these one by one?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Alright, so episode 1 is obviously the intro. We start with the debate between who's better, elf or human MILFs, and the human MILF is drawn to be a bit almost of a parody of an old working girl. I don't care, I'm into that shit.
If it weren't for her cheeks, she'd still be pretty banging.
I mean, by all accounts, she is still pretty banging because she can please like a 1,000-year-old elf.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the reason that Zell likes human women is that compared to elf ladies, human women stay young and fresh tasting in terms of their ether.
Mana.
And their mana. Yeah, their mana throughout their lives. She's got like 30 years experience, so, and he was her first customer.
Yeah, something along those lines. It's one of those where pretty much every character who's not a human agrees that human MILFs are the best because of their mana and their attractiveness in that sense. Stunk is the only one who champions elf MILFs. I get it, elves are almost permanently attractive, no matter how old they get. Totally. However, if you've got an extra sense that's sensitive to mana, I can kind of understand why species other than humans are probably put off.
Yeah, it's a real standard that you have to hold yourself to a lot of the time is, does this person smell? And if they do, it's generally pretty much a straight up no, isn't it, usually?
Well, for me, it's a big factor.
Yeah, so similarly, it's like having someone who stinks.
Yeah,
right in your face.
I guess. But I don't think stink is the right word. Do you know what I mean? I mean, they do compare the mana to like a bad smell, so you're not a million miles off. It's just, I don't want to think about it, okay?
Yeah, it's a sense that they can't turn off.
Yeah.
Whereas humans don't have that sense.
Yeah. And the flip side of this episode, because each episode is pretty much 2 episodes. There's some exceptions, obviously, but it's usually a hard and fast rule. We also get Krim crashing down, and we get Krim's inner monologue of, these guys look sketch, I'm going to say I'm a dude.
Yeah.
And they treat him to the Meow Meow Paradise.
Yeah, they do. The girl that takes Krim's virginity is one that ends up being a regular in the credits. She basically doesn't show up very much at all in the show, apart from basically now and the credits.
None of the Suck You girls really show up for more than 1 episode. That's the thing, except for the receptionist of the fairies, because they knew they were onto a winner with her.
Yeah.
Speaking
And
of
then we've
fairies,
got,
that is the second episode.
Yeah. Fairies have limits on what they can take.
Yeah. You have to pay an not even an entry fee, a subscription fee, basically, to become a member, because they need your file on record, because they need to know how big your cock is, so that they can accommodate you correctly. I think the only person who actually has a fun time in this one is the halfling.
Yeah, because he's mini, and he has conflicting emotions about this.
It's a real weird thing at times where I can't imagine anyone makes a big deal, or rather, the way I'm trying to phrase this is anyone whose personality is their dick size is weird. Either end of the spectrum.
Yeah, like big dick energy, small dick energy, lifted trucks, all that. Apparently later on, the receptionist lets Stunk get a tattoo that lets him control his size, and they get on really well.
Yeah, but she's fucking... Oh, you could take her and have a pint.
Oh yeah, totally.
And then you'd fuck afterwards, because that's just how you be, but you know.
And yeah, the only one that Stunk is allowed to go with is the BBW fairy, and Krim ends up feeling scammed because he's too big for all of them.
Yeah, but on the bright side, it's not his own money at this point.
Yeah.
That being said, there is the rather creepy line of, during Stunk's review, it's like, it basically felt like having sex with a... I'm not going to say that because I don't want it to be isolated, but you know the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again...
Yes, let's...
But yes...
we're not glorifying it.
No, we're not. It's creepy. Like, it's an anime about fantasy races, of which most are over the age of 200 and definitely capable of making adult decisions. However, that doesn't mean lines like that don't still creep me the fuck out.
And the B-side of this one is demons aren't very popular, minotaur girls are big, bountiful, and boobylicious.
Yeah, so this was probably the most fun I had in... I'm going to say that a lot. In bits that weren't sexual, because we get to learn a little bit more about the actual world, which, let's be clear here, world building is not important in this manga. It's a sex gag anime about monster girls.
Although it is nice to, like, get a bit of world building. Like, I think really early on they say, because succubi are so horny, nearly everybody is going to have some succubus DNA in them, so it would be... So legally, anybody can work as a succu girl.
All you need is 0.1% in your DNA, and almost everybody has that, yeah. That might actually be this episode as well. But we very quickly learn people's political leanings. Pretty much everyone in the party wants to vote for the succubus party because they want to lower the cost of succubi joints. What we actually learn is the actual people in charge of this world are the orc party, because all they care about is a steady stream of income that they can constantly pump back into the economy.
Yep.
Which sounds like...
We see the orcs again later, don't we?
We do, we'll get to that. But yeah, isn't that one of the more fantastical elements of like a party that wants to make money so they can put more money into the fucking community?
Yeah, except you know exactly what part of the community it's going into.
But yeah, like they focus heavily on farming and stuff, and it's like they give big old tax breaks to... Like, they didn't need to go into this much detail about the current ruling class. But yeah, as you rightly point out, we've got the demon image issue in this episode, and they're like, oh, I know, we'll make loads of people fall in love with our succubi, and they try and rope in the gang, and they get distracted by big minotaur titties.
Yeah, which apparently are very muscular and spongy, and not as squishy as they appear.
I assume they were udder-like, because they're cows.
Yeah, and even the ones that lactate are even more firm.
I don't like milking cows.
Fair enough.
Episode 3, we get the gender swap episode, which is one of the few episodes where the entire plot is at one succubi joint, and I can see why they did it for this one. Everyone goes in.
Yes.
There's special magazines where you can order girls, basically, who specifically deal with gender swap clients. Stunk goes for an elf because he's boring. Zell goes for a slime girl because apparently they're very easy for first-timers, and gives us the most erotic scene in the entire anime.
Yes. Kanchal goes for the dominatrix halfling, and Krim goes for Elsa. Elsa, sorry, yeah. Yeah, and this was a scene that was edited between the original showing and the Blu-ray. Elsa was made to look more bestial.
Okay.
For the Blu-ray because she was too cute.
Yeah, she was very cute in the original. She's always got a cigarette hanging out of her lips, so you know she means fucking business. And even when she takes Krim off to do their sexy times, the elf leans into Stunk and goes, "Does your friend know what they're up to? Because hyena girls have big dicks."
Yep. Turns out that's exactly why Krim ordered her. But yes, we got to, like you say, this is a two-parter essentially, and the gender swap potions are illegal outside of controlled environments like this.
It gives us a real weird scenario where after Crim's drunk it, he's like, wait, I don't want to do this, tries to leave, and immediately gets his, or at this point hers, pants pulled down and inspected, and the person behind the desk, who we don't know if it's a boy or a girl, doesn't matter, just goes, oh yeah, no, you gotta wait until your cock grows back. Because otherwise you might make someone fall in love with you, and that's fucked up, which we won't talk about that sort of commentary, but whatever. Next up is episode 4, where we get the savage succubi will squeeze the life out of you, and salamander girls have such hot bods. So the succubi girls will squeeze the life out of you is one of the shadiest succubi joints in the world, so much so it only charges because it seems like more of a scam if it was free.
Yeah, it's a cube of lilims, and they will keep going until they're satisfied or you're dead. Guess what? The first one ain't happening.
The lilims are very low level, basically wild succubi, so in theory 1 or 2 won't kill you. However, this cube is filled with like 100, and the only silver lining is that Stunk and Zell are savvy enough, and I think they've got one more chat with them. I know Crim doesn't go in because he's not crazy or stupid or suicidal.
Yeah, Crim's not stupid.
But like they buff themselves up before they go in.
Yeah. And they still get worn down to almost death, and they're rescued by the orcs.
Yeah, there's a big fuck off orc, and he's got like a dozen other orcs behind him, and all the lilims immediately ignore Stunk and the party, and they go, oh, you've come back, and the big orc captain is just like, of course, I cannot let you defeat me, and him and his orc buddies are gonna have a gangbang party.
Yep.
But yeah, next up we got the fire zone, where I don't know about you, Rick, but the thoughts of using someone else's body to cook sausages is really hot.
Yep. There's a reason it was in Hot Shots.
I've seen comics of people using their blazerkins to sexily cook food, and I blame that for influencing this, probably.
Yeah, for me it was Hot Shots with Charlie Sheen, where his girlfriend has a hot body, and it's literally hot, and he starts cooking like eggs and bacon on her belly.
Okay.
Because that's the kind of gag show that it is, or gag movie.
Sure.
And this is just basically the same thing, but like with plot.
There's no plot here.
Okay. But apparently she's so good at mana, because she's not just a salamander, she's also a fire spirit, so she infuses everything with like really high quality mana. So Zell is like nearly coming just from eating the food that he cooks.
Yeah, everybody gets horny and turned on, so much so that the salamander girl in question is like, oh, I'll make it free, just come back, and Stunk and Zell are like, no. And Crim reminds everyone that in fact he has heat resistance, so he gets a turn.
Yeah, he does.
Episode 5 is gone.
Yeah, I want to drown in a Cyclops girl's pretty eye, but it's pretty hard. Speaking of hard, the pros pick out the perfect mushroom girl for a slimy, sticky good time.
Oh, you're just reading the entire synopsis. Okay. But yeah, the Cyclops girl succubi thing is probably the funniest, because the first one up, I forget the order in which the guys go. I think Stunk gets the leftovers because he's a bit slow on the draw in this one. But the first one up goes, I want your biggest girl. So he gets the biggest girl. However, the thing that Cyclopses find attractive is the size of one's eye.
Yes. Yes, Canchild that gets the biggest one.
Yeah.
And she's just like, her head is like 95% eye.
Yeah. Stunk gets a relatively small eye. In fact, it's very small. But her body is otherwise...
She has a complex about it. She has a complex about like her eye being small, but because her body is banging and him giving her a good review, it like boosts her self-esteem.
Yeah, and I can't remember if it's her specifically or it's another Cyclops girl that is just hanging around, but they've got a quote-unquote unseen plot happening where another Cyclops girl or her gets a confidence boost to ask out the person that she's actually into, because the size of your eye doesn't matter.
Especially if you're not a Cyclops.
Oh yeah. The mushroom episode was interesting.
Yeah, and it turns out they give the best score to the most basic bitch mushroom out of the lot.
Well, yeah.
Because all the other ones were too weird to give the best score. I think they all get basically pretty good scores out of the mushrooms, don't they?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think anyone gets lower than a 4. Most importantly, the receptionist gets big marks because the receptionist picked out good girls for everyone, allegedly. Even though we got the inner monologue of the receptionist, and the receptionist is like, I don't know what I'm doing! Yeah,
and this is a straight 1 to 10 score, by the way, not an American 1 to 10 where it starts at 7.
What are you on about?
Like, apparently, if you get a 5 in America, that's like so far below average that you might as well not have tried. Like,
so why the fuck why the fuck are you scoring it between 1 and 10 then?
I know, right? It's like anything below a 3-star is seen as like completely, like 4-star and below is unacceptable because all they care about is 5 stars.
I think that's just snobs.
Yeah, but they actually bake this into like scoring at school. Like if you get a 40, that's a complete fail, whereas here 40 is the normal pass mark because it's 40% and not 40 marks.
Okay.
But yeah, it's possible to get 100 without getting 100%.
Okay. Next up's the Golem Girl. We've already spoke about the Golem Girl. They very much make it a point that, hey, take someone who knows how to build shit. We also get the Land of Dreams on the night of the Will-o'-the-Wisps, which, if I remember rightly, don't they try and go to a different joint that's completely booked, and they bump into the fairy girl again, and she's just like, hey, I got a place that will blow your mind. Or was that later on?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, it sounds about right.
Actually, I think there's a different... I think this is the one where they take the piss out of other manga, where they have rays of light that just happen to censor everything. I think the one I'm thinking of is later on.
Oh, yes. It's the holiday season for the Land of Darkness, and Krim feels weary from the presence of many dark spirits.
Okay.
Yeah, so Zell goes, Zell says, oh, yeah, let's go to a place, and unsurprisingly, it's a brothel.
Well, yeah. Next up, we've got Gone.
Krim can see through all of the censorship, so he gives them an honest score, whereas everyone else gives them the tantalized score.
But yeah, episode 7, the gang gets laid at the extravagant egg-laying show, which, again, you pointed out earlier, the Naga and/or Lamia and/or Snake Dude gets the fucking horn hard in this episode.
Yes.
They do a thing where when you enter, there's this great horned owl lady, and she just swivels her head around, and it's both creepy and adorable.
Yeah, so it's adorable for us, and for like lizard people, it's meant to be super creepy and a intimidation tactic of don't try anything funny.
Which makes sense, considering pretty much everyone watching the show is some kind of reptile person.
Yeah, some kind of egg eater.
But yeah, the deal here is you pay a entry fee, and they tell you when you come in, there is no guarantee that there will be an egg laying today. But if there is...
like, you can start bidding on it.
Well, yeah, once it's laid. But yeah, like, you get to see the show if there is a show, but because they can't 100% control if an egg's being laid, they have to give the warning of, yeah, you might not see nothing.
Yeah. This time, they do get to see something.
Yeah, and this episode pretty much comes about because Majorie is that time of the month where she needs to lay an egg, so they do a weird cutaway thing where they cut between the two, and it's like, yeah, I believe it's a penguin girl, isn't it, in the show?
Yeah, she's like really wholesome, and she just like doesn't really show much, and then just an egg is there.
Yeah, and yeah, I forget if the snake guy with the group ends up winning the egg, or if he gets disappointed because other people bid way more than he can.
Yeah, I think he has like a normal egg, and he eats that as like a consolation prize to himself because he can't afford the one that they win. Or they cut away they do a cutaway of like showing him, imagining him eating one. Like they show him eating one, but I think it's in an imagined spot.
As an aside, would you?
I think I would. Yeah.
I don't think it would matter if it was fertilized or not. I'd be like, that came out of a sentient person who I can talk to.
I'd have to cook it.
Well, no shit, Rick. I didn't mean eat it raw.
Yeah, not eat it with the shell on like the like the reptile people do.
It's one of those where like I'd have to really trust a person, and they'd have to be into the idea more than I was.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to just go, that pigeon lady laid an egg, I'ma eat it.
Yeah, I wouldn't ask for it.
Well, that was my question, Rick. My question wasn't.
I wouldn't ask.
Was just a general. Would you eat one in this circumstance where you could bid on one and just eat it if you won? I wouldn't bid on one. I wouldn't be able to. That feels wrong.
Oh yeah, I'd leave it to the people who've got more affinity for it. But it's one of those where I wouldn't ask for it, but if I was offered it, then yes.
I don't think I would, even if I was offered it. I really don't. It feels like the people who spend like $1,000 on some gamer girl bathwater.
Yeah, it does actually.
But yeah, the second half of this episode is the popularity poll, which I have in front of me. Are you ready?
Yeah. It's, is it 7 or 9 places?
It's 9 places. 9 is Tia
9
Plate.
places.
That's the salamander girl. Number 8 is Okpa. That's the... I don't know what she is.
Dagon.
Huh?
Dagon, apparently.
Oh, okay, sure. The picture I've got is not very good. Next up is Guinea. That is one of the Minotaur girls. Next up is Elsa. They make a point of saying that if she didn't have a massive dick, then she probably would have rated higher, to which Elsa goes, I don't give a shit. So, yeah. Yep. Number 5 is Eldrie, which is a harpy girl. The harpy girl that they fuck really early on because Stunk's got the horn for Medri, but doesn't want to admit it.
Yep.
Aisha is...
She also...
Gone.
Yeah, Maidri also bans the snake guy from entering because she's scared of him.
Sure. Aisha is number 4. That's the Cyclops girl with the small eye. Me is number 3, which is the cat girl who I believe takes Crim's virginity. Number 2 is Elma, who is the elf girl that Stunk really likes. And number 1 is Aloe. Of course it is. She's not even a sucky girl. She's just a receptionist.
Yep. Yeah, apparently for Elma, all of her votes were from humans.
I mean, everyone's votes were from humans. This was a real poll, Rick. It wasn't an in-universe poll.
Oh, okay.
They paint it up to make it look like it was made in universe, but all the votes were done by humans. Like, there's a good 3,000 votes as well. Like, people weren't shy about going, yeah, I want to fuck that fairy.
Yeah, Aloe got 1,422 on her own.
Yeah, it was damn near twice the amount of second place.
Yes, Elma got 885.
Like, her description is, like, she's got big tits, but she looks ragged, and, like, no one gives a shit. Also, I wish we had the collector's edition of the Blu-rays in the UK, because I would have bought it for that statue.
Yeah.
But yeah, next up we've got episode 8. It's the roleplay episode, where, you just act out a weird fantasy. The halfling's really into this, because he's into sadomasochism real hard.
Doesn't he go, like, he really goes off on one against the minotaur girl that works there?
Yeah, because
she's shit at acting.
Yeah. They are absolute shit at acting, and they do a thing at the end of the episode where they do a bit of a cutaway where it's just like, okay guys, this was really successful, what should we act out next? And I forget which girl it is, but she basically dictates what the group is doing based on what clothes she's bought that week.
Yeah.
But yeah, part 2 here is the most generic succubi brothel. It is the Succu Tower, or the Succubus Tower lasts forever. You can literally go in, and I think it's Crim who describes it as, wow, it feels like a McDonald's, because you just go in and ask what you want and you get what you want. Stunk goes in and goes, I want long hair and big tits. Do you want bush today, sir? I don't know. So because succubus can basically change their form, it literally is just like, say what you want and you get what you want. This also gives us the Crim as a bottle of mayonnaise visual gag, which is fucking great.
Yeah. Yeah, depending on how specific you are here, you get either, like, 50 of them, like, will offer to be your date for the night, or, like, only 2 of them will decide, oh, I feel like turning into that today.
Well, it depends how hungry they are, because these are full-blown, pretty much 100% succubus. They need to feed.
Yes.
So much so that while the price is ridiculously cheap, you basically get completely drained, as we learn with Crim. The whole reason why they visit this place is because Stunk and Zell have a long mission that's going to see them away for a while. So they're like, yeah, let's fucking release the goo so we're not pent up during our trip.
Yes. Isn't that the trip where they end up saving the world as an afterthought?
No, that never actually happens in the show. There's just a cutaway where it's like, hey, they're actually good adventurers and they're killing things.
Yeah.
They never saved the world in the show. It's implied that they might have done once in the past. But yeah, again, one of the backdrops here is the main reason Stunk and Zell adventure is so they can fund their prostitute fucking journey.
Yeah. They very much work to live. Or work to live it up, as it were.
Yep. Next episode sees them doing the undead, and it basically boils down to everyone has a fun time, but they score low because they smell.
Yes. Like, even I think the highest scoring one is the zombie girl, but even then, like,
she doesn't breach a 5.
Yeah. And there's a little bit of info that, yeah, she's got big tits, but they're not hers.
Okay, so more of a Frankenstein's monster than a zombie.
Yeah, she apparently inherited them from her senpai.
Yeah, cool. Episode 10 is the glorious mystery brothel with a perfect score. Why has it got a perfect score? Because it's a grand archmage character who, she'll basically let you live out your sexual fantasy for a whole 3 days.
Yeah, Archmage Demia, she's got these basically clones of herself that are like living spells, and yeah, like you say, you can do what you like with her for multiple days. Crim wants a first girlfriend, and they go on dates and everything. Stunk wants a housewife, so she basically has naked apron the entire time.
That is the gimmick.
And Zell just uses her as a wizard tutor who sometimes he bones down with.
Yep. And we've got the halfling once again showing his sadomasochistic roots, where he goes, how rough can I be with you? And the clone just straight up goes, the rougher you are, the shorter of a lifespan the clone has, so I might not last a full 3 days, but you can decapitate me, you can do whatever. And the halfling straight up goes, decapitate you? What the fuck?
Yes, you can do whatever you like with her. And she's even done things to make it so that they can cater to other deviant desires like scat and other forms of guru that are not just murder.
I don't remember them bringing that up in the anime or the manga. I remember them bringing up the head chopping off thing because the whole joke was that, the little halfling is a masochist, but he's not that much of a masochist. He just wanted to know if he could whip you and tie you up.
Yep. And this is how she harvests Crim's essence.
Yeah, she basically takes a chip of his halo. Another chip of his halo, because it's not like he's, he's already missing a bit.
Yeah, it's not growing back anytime soon. Speaking of not growing back anytime soon, there is another couple of angels in the manga. One of them wants to break his halo so that he can also, sample the joys of the flesh, and can't do it.
Yeah, the whole joke with Crim is that he's literally a fallen angel because he fell.
Yeah, he fell and he broke his halo.
Yeah. Episode 11 is the super simp who gives everyone a 10 out of 10. I've got to be honest with you, episode 11 and episode 12, I'm just looking at the episode descriptions. I can't remember either of them. I think episode 12 is the one where they're looking for a sucky girl place, but they can't find one. So what happens is they find Aloe at a bar, and she's just like, I got a good place for you, and they go to a place with basically mind flayers, but good, in that you just fall asleep and you just remember your best time, and that happens again.
This is the one where they actually do get to go to the demons.
Oh yeah, the second to last one.
Yeah, so this is it's in the last episode, and it's the second to last thing that they do is they go to the demons finally, and they do get a little bit of a bollocking for why didn't you go when we asked you to, because that's when the elections were happening.
They don't even get a bollocking.
Well, they get grilled over it, like slightly,
but not really. At the end of the episode where they got distracted by the minotaurs, there's a cutaway gag with the lady leader and her thing, and she's basically crying, going, "Why didn't the thing happen?" And he's like, "I don't fucking know."
Yep. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of the anime. Can you think of anything else from the manga that was? I
already prefaced everything with what I remember. It's been a while since I've read it, and there's been like 6 new chapters since I last caught up, and I didn't feel like reading 55 plus chapters just to catch up for this podcast.
Yeah. Yagamiel is the angel that wants to be like Crim.
Okay. I think he shows up after I stopped reading.
Sure. And so, yes. So, do you have a favourite moment?
It's a good question. I think the best visual gag is the Crim mayonnaise bottle, so I'll give it to that.
Yeah, that's a very good visual gag.
Yeah, and the thing that gets me is it is literally a 1-to-1 of the manga panels as well. Nothing really changed. What about you?
Yeah, and I think mine is when Crim goes off with Elsa, and the other guys, well, as girls at the time, are like, does he really know what he's doing? And yeah, he knows exactly what he's doing. But do you have a weakest link?
My weakest link is the fact that every single fucking broadcaster who picked this up did not do any fucking research. Broadcast the first, maybe second episode, and then immediately went, oh no, because they didn't do any fucking research at all, not even slightly.
Yeah, completely pussied out, and this is going to be mine as well. That censorship was a big detriment to this show in its original broadcast, which really hurt the engagement and fun.
But like, you and I have watched the uncensored versions, and apart from the scene with Zell and the slime girl, and I think Crim with a slime girl as well, there's nothing really all that graphic. Now don't get me wrong, I don't think anyone under the age of 18 should be watching this, but it's not quite so bad that you can't put it on after the watershed.
Oh, it's very definitely a post-watershed one. You see nipple and that's about it, and everything else is impressions and your own imagination.
I'll just say it, man. It's funnier than it is sexy.
Yeah, totally.
If I wanted to have a wank, there are better things for me to masturbate to.
Sure. That said, it has spawned some pretty good Rule 34, so...
Oh, I've never actually looked.
Huh, strange.
I mean, not really.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'll tell you what, as well, I think it's rather unfair that this show gets compared to Redo of Healer, which is a show I've not watched, but as far as I'm aware, there's a lot of fucking rape in it.
I've not seen that.
No, neither have I. It came out a year after Interspecies Reviewers, and they're like, oh, this is the anime that's basically hentai, so it's the same thing. And it's not. It's a character going, having rape fantasies fulfilled, including being like, oh, I can either fuck you with this rod, pointing to his crotch, or this rod. And it's literally a flaming red hot poker that would kill a person. And it's like,
yeah,
this is not even comparable. This show is fun and relatively light-hearted. Granted, it is 18+, but there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Whereas Redo of Healer, all of the snapshots I've seen, because I don't want to watch that shit, it's not my cup of tea. It's just, this guy is mentally broken, and now he wants to break the people who mentally broke him, which means rape.
Yeah.
How is that the same as consensual, fun, sexy times?
No, it's not. It's not in any way.
It's rated 8. It's basically an 18+ borderline hentai, so therefore people compare the two, and they're wrong. Don't watch Redo of Healer.
No. But yeah, now that I've, agreed with you on that one, do you have an MVP?
Hello?
Yeah.
She's only in it for a little bit, but she's iconic, and yeah, if she was real, man, oh.
Like you say, there's a reason that she was the statue.
I also don't have a foot-long cock, so I might have a chance.
Apparently, her capacity is 8 centimetres.
I don't know what that is in inches.
3 and a bit.
Oh, fuck, I'm out of luck.
Yep. I think most people are.
Mind you, she
Unless
said
you're
that,
really mini.
Well, she also said that people regularly splooge their load when they're getting measured, so maybe I'll just settle for that.
Oh yeah, the good old full body service.
Like, I don't know. I'm criticising a fucking gag hentai manga where, like, I don't know why Stunk didn't just go, can I just not have a regular furry and just have them, like, hug it and go up and down?
Yeah.
Like, even Crim could get that, surely.
Totally. I think the reason that they ban him from going in is that he might lose control and try to, do the natural.
In which case, you choppy the pee-pee.
Yeah, chop off.
Choppy. That's a joke from wrestling, and I won't elaborate any further. You can dive on your own. Rick, who's your MVP?
My MVP is going to be Krim, because he's a very good window into the world of someone who goes from inexperienced to degenerate. And we go along that journey with him. But yeah, so if you like the episode, you've got the comment section down below on YouTube. And if you're listening via one of the many audio platforms, you can instead send us an email, which would go to
nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com. Once again, that is nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com.
Yeah, join us again in the future. If you made it this far, you are, as always, our favourite people. And I'll see you again next time.
Bye, guys.